2004 Dodge Ram CV or constant velocity axle replacement and axle hub replacement. I put this plate on backwards, so I'm just going to show you. Take this off, this upper control arm. It will make it a whole lot easier. I already undid the bolts. Just fucking pull it out, twist it around, and see how it can lean forward. You get so much more play. The CV will come out. You gotta pull on it, and it will depress. All right, so it's not doing that. So we gotta pry on it, and it will depress. Right here. You gotta get a pry bar in there, right there. I'll get back to you. Okay, so you put a pry bar in here and you pry out on the CV axle. Take your mallet and tap it right here till it disconnects from the actual axle. And then you have all this space to work. You can just fucking, I can't do this with one hand. Get some room in here. Try and put this back in the gear. You'll get some play. And then that, you just pull on it and it'll slide off. And then you want to take it off. Just fucking pull it out. You're gonna have to manhandle that shit. Alright. You now have access to your hub. What is it? Your hub bolts. There's 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And that will take this hub bearing off. So we're gonna do that now. Okay, so we got the bolts off from the back. Now what you want to do is you want to take a flathead and a hammer, and where each bolt was behind this protective plate, just keep tapping. You'll see it work out. It'll start working its way out. You know, the older it is, the harder it's going to be, but just keep messing with it and it'll come off eventually. So let's take that off. And that's it. Just tap with a flathead and a hammer, like down in here, and in here, and in here, and it will start working its way out, and it'll just fall out. This is a new one. My old one's garbage. This was $144 at Pep Boys after tax. The CV axle was $80 after tax, give or take, at Advance. We'll see if this works. I'll show you how to put it together, obviously. Alright, so don't put this on backwards. That's why I'm taking this apart. So this will go like this. So you want the flat edge going towards the truck. Put it on there like that, and then you put your CV hub right over it. Okay, we got the hub. Put the plate back on. Like I said, it's very important. You're not going to get to this unless you remove that. The CV axle has to be removed to get to this. So don't think because the bolt is overlapping this, because it will, you have to take this off. So now let's put the CV axle back on, which is that. Okay, so CV's axle's in. What you want to do is put this part in first. Make sure you get it in as all the way, and then it should be no problem getting it onto the actual axle. So now let's put our upper control arm back on. Replace the bushings if you have them. I'm not going to, so let's put the upper control arm back on. Okay, upper control arm is back on. I obviously told you that this one was rusted and then I had to cut the bolt. And I got new bushings for it. So if you gotta cut it, you gotta cut it. You gotta do what you gotta do. I ain't got all day. So now we're gonna put the rotor on and the brake caliper with brakes. Okay, got the caliper on and the rotor. Be careful, don't cross thread the bolts that take the caliper off, they're right here. These bolts take the brake pads off. This takes the caliper off. There's two, one on top, there's one on top, and then one on the bottom, down here. Now we're gonna put the wheel on. Once you put your wheel on, put your axle nut on. If you can't tighten it too much, you're not gonna be able to do it by hand while it's on a jack. But if you drop the wheel just enough to catch the ground, it'll stop rotating if you don't have anybody to step on the brake for you. So just do that, and then make sure everything's locked down. Torque these nuts just nice. Torque this just nice. Not like insanely hard. And you're good to go. That's CV axle with CV hub and bearings assembly replaced. And I'm gonna check my work.